Emma Richardson sat in the back of her advanced physics class, her eyes fixed on the holographic equations floating in front of her desk. The massive insectoid student next to her shifted his weight, making the floor creak beneath his thick legs. She did not flinch. She did not look up. This was how she survived at Crossroads Academy, the most prestigious school in the entire galaxy. She made herself small. She made herself invisible. The classroom was a strange mix of creatures. A tall feline being with 6 eyes scanned her datapad with focused intensity. 3 crystalline entities hummed quietly to each other, their forms reflecting the light from the projectors. A soft-skinned amphibian named Krell sat 2 rows ahead, his webbed fingers moving quickly across his learning interface. Emma had learned within the first week of school that Krell was one of the few students here who did not immediately assume she was weak because she came from Earth. Professor Vane, an elderly insectoid with a segmented body, gestured at the equations. His voice came through the translation speakers that every student wore in their ear. Most planets in the galaxy had evolved different languages, so the Academy provided real-time translation. It meant Emma heard the lesson in English, while others heard it in their own tongues. The gravity calculations for Deathworlds remain one of the most challenging problems in astrophysics, Professor Vane explained. The atmospheric density, the radiation levels, the tectonic instability. Most beings cannot even survive on such planets for longer than a few hours without protective equipment. Emma did not move. She did not react. But she thought about home. She thought about the dust storms that turned day into night in seconds. She thought about the predators that hunted under cover of darkness, creatures with teeth and claws that could pierce bone as easily as cutting through paper. She thought about climbing the mountain near her family settlement, the gravity pulling at her body with nearly 1.5 times the force it did here, making every step feel like she was carrying someone else on her back. She thought about the cave collapse that had killed 3 of her classmates when she was 12 years old. She had dug them out with her own hands, bleeding and exhausted. That was when she learned that Earth produced survivors, not victims. The class ended, and Emma gathered her things. She moved through the hallways with practiced efficiency, keeping her head down, her bag close to her body. She had learned not to draw attention. But she had learned not to draw attention. Attention meant questions. Questions meant telling her story. And her story was not something the other students needed to hear. Krell caught up with her at the entrance to the cafeteria, his webbed hand gesturing in a friendly way that the translator converted into English words. "Emma, you want to eat with me today? Marcus is saving seats at our table." Marcus was another friend, a young avian student with bright feathers that shifted colors with his moods. Right now, those feathers showed a warm yellow, welcoming and kind. "Sure," Emma said. She did not smile much, but Krell and Marcus had never asked her to. The cafeteria stretched out before them like a small city. Hundreds of tables sat filled with students from hundreds of different species. The food section had different stations for different biologies. Emma grabbed a tray of protein and vegetables from the human section, something she had learned to appreciate after months of the Academy's synthesized attempts at Earth cuisine. They sat at their usual table in the corner, away from the center of the cafeteria. Marcus was already there, his feathers now displaying excited patterns of blue and gold. He pushed a small tablet across the table toward Emma. "Did you see the announcement?" he asked. Emma shook her head. She did not spend much time on the student network. She focused on her studies. That was the plan. Get through school. Do well. Go home and help her family. Do not cause problems. Do not stand out. "New students arrived this morning," Krell said, his amphibian face showing something that looked like concern. "From the Hunter Collective. They are registering for classes now." Emma felt something shift in her chest. It was not fear. She had experienced fear, real fear, in the face of creatures that actually wanted to kill her. This was different. This was a warning. Something ancient in her bones recognized a predator. Hunters? She asked. Yes, Marcus said, his feathers darkening slightly. My friend Zoe is on the sports committee. She said they are applying to join the Academy's hunting club. They said they want to hunt dangerous prey. For sport. Emma ate her food without responding. She had heard about the Hunter Collective. They came from a world where everything had been built for them. A world with no dangerous weather, no predators that could actually threaten them, no gravity that pushed down on the body like the weight of the world itself. They hunted other species for entertainment. Maybe they will not be too bad, Krull said, but his voice did not sound convinced. They finished their meal in silence. Emma went to her next class, a history lesson about the formation of the Galactic Council. She took notes. She participated when called upon, keeping her answers short and her voice quiet. She was good at being invisible. After the final bell rang, Emma walked toward her dormitory. The hallways were crowded with students moving between classes and activities. She kept to the edges, letting the flow of bodies part around her like water around a stone. That was when she saw them, a group of tall, powerful beings unlike anything she had seen before. They moved with the confidence of predators, their skin showing patterns of dark purple and silver. Their eyes were larger than those of most species, with pupils that could contract to almost nothing in bright light. They were built for hunting. Every part of them, from their lean muscles to their long fingers tipped with sharp claws, had been designed for pursuit and capture. One of them, taller than the others and with more complex patterns on his skin, turned his head and looked directly at Emma Dodd. She did not look away. She did not show fear. She simply met his gaze for a moment, then continued walking. Behind her, she heard him turn to his companions and speak in a language the translator did not immediately recognize. Then she heard his voice again, and this time the translator worked. It said something that made her blood cold. There, the hunter said. I found what I want to hunt. Emma kept walking. She did not change her pace. She did not react. But she was no longer invisible. She had been seen Dodd, and in that moment, everything changed. The next morning, Emma noticed the change immediately. As she walked through the academy hallways, the tall purple-skinned beings were everywhere. They blocked her path in the corridors. They sat at nearby tables during meals. They showed up at the entrance to her classes. There were 5 of them total, and they moved like a pack, coordinated and deliberate. The tall one from the previous day, the one who called himself Vex, made sure to acknowledge her every time their paths crossed. He did not hide his interest. He wanted her to know he was watching. Emma did not change her routine. She went to class. She studied. She ate with Krull and Marcus. But now she was hyper-aware of the danger lurking at the edges of her life. During lunch on the second day, Marcus leaned close and spoke in a low voice. They are asking about you. All the hunters. They want to know where you are from. They asked me if you have any medical conditions or physical limitations. What did you tell them? Emma asked. Nothing, Marcus said. His feathers had turned a dull gray color. I did not like the way they asked. I did not like the way they looked when they mentioned you. Krull added. My cousin in the registration office said they have some kind of agreement with the Academy security chief. Something about access to the restricted zones outside the Academy walls. That is unusual. Most students do not get that kind of clearance. Emma felt the weight of the information settle on her shoulders. This was not random. This was planned. Someone had given these hunters special privileges, and they intended to use those privileges. They intended to use her. That afternoon, Emma experienced her first real confrontation. She was walking between her biology class and her mathematics tutorial when Vex and two of his companions blocked her path. The hallway was crowded, so the hunters had to be careful about what they said out loud. But their body language was clear. Vex stepped directly in front of her, his large frame casting a shadow over her small human body. "The little Deathworlder," he said, his translator converting his words into English. "I have been learning about your kind. Did you know that humans are the only species in this region of space that actually enjoy pain?" Emma did not answer. She tried to move around him, but his companions stepped closer, blocking the path. "Humans are interesting," Vex continued. "You come from a world that is trying to kill you every single moment. Gravity that crushes, weather that destroys, predators that hunt. And yet you survive. You endure. You become strong." He paused, and his large eyes focused directly on hers. "This makes you the perfect quarry." "Leave me alone," Emma said. Her voice was quiet and steady. "I do not think you truly understand what I am saying," Vex replied. "I am from the Hunter Collective. We hunt the most dangerous creatures in all the galaxy. We hunt for sport. We hunt for glory. And I have decided that I want to hunt you." Around them, other students pretended not to notice the confrontation. They looked away. They moved past quickly. Emma realized that no one was going to help her. This was a school with beings from hundreds of different cultures, but right now, she was alone. "That is not allowed," Emma said. "The Academy has laws against hunting other students." Vex smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "The Academy has many laws, but the Academy also has many officials who understand that the hunters represent important families from important worlds. Our people have money. Our people have influence. And some of the Academy's people can be convinced to look the other way when certain activities happen outside Academy grounds." He stepped back slightly, giving her just enough room to move past him. "I will come for you soon, little Deathworlder. I will give you a 3-hour head start to make it interesting. But I will come for you. And when I do, you will learn what it means to be hunted by something that is actually your equal." Emma walked past him without responding. Her heart was beating faster than normal, her body responding to the threat with old reflexes her Earth ancestors had passed down through generations. But her face remained calm. Her expression remained neutral. She went to her mathematics tutorial. She answered the questions her instructor asked. She acted as though nothing had changed. But everything had changed. That night, she called her family using the Academy's secure communication system. Her mother's face appeared on the screen, her expression showing immediate concern. "Emma, what is wrong?" "You never call unless something is wrong." Emma told her everything. She told her about the hunters, about their interest in her, about Vex's threat. Her mother listened, and when Emma finished speaking, her mother did something unexpected. She laughed. "Your father hunted the crystal predators when he was your age," her mother said. "The ones that could kill a grown man with a single bite. You know what he did?" "What?" Emma asked. "He let them chase him into the caves of the northern mountains." The predators did not understand the darkness. Their eyes are good for open daylight, but in the deep caves, they became blind. Your father did not need his eyes. He grew up in darkness. He grew up in danger. He survived because he understood the world in ways they did not. Her mother's face became serious. These hunters have never fought someone from a death world. They have never faced an enemy that did not break under pressure. You are not their prey, Emma. They are yours. But only if you understand what you are capable of doing. After the call ended, Emma sat alone in her dormitory room. She thought about the mountain. She thought about the caves. She thought about the dust storms and the predators and the earthquakes that had shaped her since birth. She thought about who she really was. The next morning, Vex found her in the cafeteria, and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Tomorrow after classes, you will meet me at the main entrance to the restricted zone. Come alone. Tell no one. If you tell anyone, I will know, and I will hurt your friends. Do you understand?" Emma nodded once. She understood completely, but she also understood something that Vex did not. She understood that this hunter had never faced a real predator. He had never hunted anything that was actually dangerous. He had never met anything that wanted to survive as badly as she did. She understood that she was about to teach him exactly how wrong he had been. The sun was setting when Emma approached the main entrance to the restricted zone. The academy had built this area centuries ago as a testing ground for students. It contained forests, mountains, water sources, and open plains. It was meant to simulate dangerous environments where advanced students could test survival skills. Today, it would become a hunting ground. Vex was waiting with his 4 companions. They wore hunting gear designed for their species, equipment that glowed with technological sophistication. Advanced weapons hung from their belts. Tracking devices were embedded in their wrists. They looked like soldiers preparing for war against a single human girl. "You came," Vex said, his tone showing surprise and satisfaction. "I thought you might run. That would have been easier for all of us." Emma did not respond. She simply waited. "Here are the rules," Vex said. "You have 1 hour to run. You can hide. You can climb. You can swim. But when that hour ends, we begin the real hunt. We have tracking technology that will find you anywhere in this zone. We have weapons that can stop you from any distance. And most importantly, we have something you do not have. We have power." He gestured to his companions, and they activated their devices. A shimmering field appeared around the zone's perimeter. Emma recognized it immediately as a barrier. Nothing could pass through it. Nothing could escape. "The exit is sealed," Vex continued. "No one can enter this zone to help you. No security can come to save you. You are ours for the next few hours, little Deathworlder. Now run." Emma turned and ran into the forest. She did not panic. She did not run blindly. Instead, she used the first hour to do what her mother had taught her, what Earth had forced her to understand. She observed. She learned the terrain. She found water sources. She located high ground and low ground. She gathered materials that could be useful. The forest on this part of the station was vast and dense. Trees grew thick, their branches creating shadows even though the sun was still in the sky. Emma moved through them with a grace that came from years of navigating Earth's dangerous wilderness. She was small, which meant she could move through spaces the larger hunters could not. She was light, which meant she made less noise with each step. When the hour ended, she heard Vex call out across the forest. His voice came through some kind of amplification system, booming through the trees. "The hunt begins. Find her." Emma heard them activating their tracking devices. She heard the sounds of their movement through the forest. They were not trying to be quiet. They did not need to be. They had technology that would find her no matter how well she hid. She watched from her position high in the trees as the hunters passed directly beneath her. They moved in a line, their tracking devices scanning the ground. They moved with confidence, with the absolute certainty that they controlled this situation. Emma waited until they had passed. Then she moved deeper into the forest. She understood something the hunters did not. Technology was useful, but it had limitations. Tracking devices worked best on open ground. Trees and water and electromagnetic disturbances could confuse them. Emma had not come into this zone with technology. She had come with something older and more powerful. She had come with knowledge. By nightfall, the hunters had located her 3 times, and 3 times Emma had escaped. Each encounter taught them something new. They learned that she was faster than they expected. They learned that she could climb. They learned that she understood how to use the environment against them, but they did not learn to respect her. Their arrogance remained intact. On the second night, Vex made a crucial mistake. He separated his team, sending them in different directions to cover more ground. Emma had been waiting for this. She moved through the darkness like a creature born to it, because in many ways she had been. Earth's nights were darker than this. Earth's predators were more terrible than anything these hunters had ever encountered. She found the youngest hunter, a smaller member of the collective who had been boasting about his hunting skills. He was moving alone through a rocky canyon, his tracking device searching ahead, when Emma struck. She did not use violence. Instead, she used something smarter. She created a distraction, a sound that came from above. When the hunter looked up, she dislodged a large rock. It did not crush him. Instead, it knocked his tracking device from his wrist. The device flew into a stream below, its electronics destroyed by the water. The hunter screamed. Without his tracking device, he was blind in this zone. He was helpless. Emma left him there and moved on. By the morning of the second day, 2 of the hunters had been disabled. Their tracking devices had been destroyed. Vex realized he had been making a serious error in his strategy. He called his remaining hunters together and changed tactics. Instead of spreading out, they moved as a single unit, using their combined technology to search more carefully. But by then, Emma had done something else. She had taken materials from the zone and created traps. Simple traps, the kind humans had used for thousands of years before they had ever developed technology. Pit traps with sharpened stakes. Snares that would tighten around ankles and wrists. Deadfalls that could crush equipment. These traps were crude, but they were effective against enemies who only expected to face technology with technology. On the afternoon of the second day, Emma was resting on a high ledge when she saw Vex below her. He was alone, standing in a clearing, his weapons drawn. He was calling out to her, his voice carrying across the zone. "I know you can hear me, Deathworlder." Vex shouted. "I know you are listening. I am impressed. You have survived longer than I expected. But this ends now. I have decided that hunting you is not as interesting as it should be. I am going to end this myself. Face me. Let us fight. Let us see which of us is stronger." Emma looked down at him from her perch. She saw his confidence. She saw his arrogance. She saw someone who had never truly understood what it meant to fight for survival, and she realized that the real hunt was about to begin. Emma climbed down from the ledge slowly, deliberately. She made sure Vex could see her. She wanted him to watch her approach. She wanted him to understand that she was not afraid. When she reached the clearing, Vex activated one of his weapons. It hummed with energy, a device designed to stun or kill from a distance. He smiled, his large eyes confident and cold. "You are brave," he said. "Or stupid. I have not yet decided which." "I am from Earth," Emma said. Her voice was steady and quiet. "Do you know what that means?" "Of course I know," Vex replied. "You are from a Deathworld. I have read all the scientific data about your planet. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, deadly predators, bad luck of nature." "No," Emma said. "You did not understand. Let me teach you." Emma moved. She did not charge at him. Instead, she moved to the side, using the clearing's natural features to stay hidden from his weapons. The first blast of energy passed where she had been standing just a moment before. It hit a rock behind her, melting it instantly. Vex adjusted his aim and fired again. And again. But Emma was no longer there. She had learned to move in ways that did not make sense to him, movements that came from the knowledge passed down through human generations. How to move in dust storms. How to move around predators. How to move through chaos and survive. She closed the distance between them. Vex realized his mistake. He tried to use his weapon in close combat, but Emma was faster. She had been climbing and running in high gravity her entire life. Her body was more powerful than it appeared. She moved under his guard and drove her elbow toward his torso. Vex absorbed the blow on his arm, and Emma felt the impact reverberate through her own body. He was strong, very strong, but he was not fast. He was not used to fighting someone who was willing to take damage to inflict it. They fought in a clearing for the next few minutes. Vex was skilled, but his skill came from hunting creatures that ran. It did not come from fighting something that fought back with intelligence and ruthlessness. Emma did not try to match his strength. Instead, she hurt him. She struck his joints. She targeted the spaces between his armor where his body was vulnerable. She moved like water, flowing around his attacks instead of meeting them head-on. Then Emma made her decisive move. During one of Vex's attacks, she grabbed his arm and used his own momentum against him. She threw him over her hip, a movement that should have been impossible for a human girl to perform on someone so much larger and heavier than her. But Emma had been growing up in gravity that made everything harder. Her leverage was perfect. Her timing was perfect. Vex crashed onto his back, the impact driving the air from his lungs. Emma stood over him. She could have killed him. She could have used his own weapon against him. She could have done many things in that moment. Instead, she disabled his weapon, removing the power core with movement so fast he could not stop her. "You were right about one thing," Emma said. "I am from a Deathworld. That means I have spent my entire life surrounded by things that want to kill me. That means I know pain. That means I know fear. That means I know what it feels like to be hunted. And that means I know how to survive." She left him on the ground, gasping for air as Emma walked deeper into the forest. She heard Vex calling to his remaining hunters. There was fear in his voice now. The hunters had called for backup, but backup was not coming. The barriers around the zone were holding. The 3 remaining hunters had regrouped near the water source in the center of the zone. Emma approached them carefully, using the forest to conceal her movements. She watched them from the darkness of the trees. They were scared now. She could see it in the way they moved. They had expected this to be a hunt, but they realized too late that they were not the hunters anymore. They were the hunted. Emma set her first major trap where she knew they would pass. A large deadfall constructed from fallen trees, held up by smaller supports. She had spent an entire night building it, gathering materials and positioning them perfectly. When the first hunter walked beneath it, Emma triggered the trap. The logs came down with crushing force. The hunter screamed, and Emma moved on. She did not wait to see if he was dead or alive. That was not the point. The point was that his hunting was over. The second hunter tried to run. Emma pursued him, and the chase led him directly into one of the pit traps she had constructed. He fell 10 feet into a hole lined with sharp stakes. His cries echoed across the zone, and Emma did not look back. The last hunter was different. He was smarter. He realized that his technology was failing him, so he abandoned it. He took a weapon that did not require power and ran deeper into the forest, trying to disappear the way humans had always disappeared. Into the wilderness. Into the unknown. Emma caught him on the 3rd day. She had been tracking him, following the marks he left, understanding the pattern of his movements. He was exhausted, hungry, afraid. She cornered him at the edge of a cliff, and when he realized there was nowhere left to run, he attacked. He was strong, but he was not desperate. Emma was. She had everything to lose. He had already lost the moment he decided to hunt her. When it was over, Emma stood alone in the clearing as the sun set for the 3rd time since she had entered the restricted zone. All the hunters were either captured or disabled. Their technology was destroyed. Their weapons were useless. She walked toward the barrier, and as she did, it deactivated. Academy security was flooding into the zone, their transport ships descending from above. Emma Richardson, the quiet girl from Earth, the Deathworlder nobody had noticed, emerged from the forest covered in dirt and blood that was not her own. She looked at the security forces, and they looked at her with something that had not been in their eyes before: respect. The Academy Council chamber was filled with high-ranking officials from across the galaxy. They sat in their designated positions, watching as Emma Richardson entered and took her seat in the center of the room. She wore a clean Academy uniform, but her face still showed the marks of the 3 days in the restricted zone. A small cut above her left eye, bruises on her hands from where she had fought, the physical evidence of what she had endured. Director Karthus, the ancient crystalline being who led the Academy, gestured toward her. Emma Richardson, this council has reviewed all evidence related to your encounter with the Hunter Collective. We have determined that the Hunters violated Academy law by attempting to hunt a student without consent. We have also determined that Academy officials accepted bribes to allow this activity. Charges have been filed. Those officials are now in custody. A Vulpine representative from the commercial sector spoke next. We have reviewed the records of your survival in the restricted zone, your tactical decisions, your ability to use environmental resources, your combat effectiveness. In all my years in commerce, I have never seen such performance metrics from a human. Emma did not react. She simply waited. The amphibian member of the council, a being named Quellis, who came from a water world, leaned forward. What I want to know is how you did this. You are smaller than any hunter. You are weaker than any hunter. You are less technologically advanced. How did you defeat 5 trained hunting specialists? Emma took a moment before answering. They did not know the environment. They did not know how to fight for survival. They fought for sport. I fought to live. The council members exchanged looks with each other. There was something in Emma's answer that they all understood on a deep level. The difference between fighting because you wanted to win and fighting because you did not have any other choice. Director Karthus called for a vote. This council recognizes the exceptional valor displayed by Emma Richardson in the face of mortal danger. We honor her achievement and formally place her name in the Academy record as a survivor of a death hunt. She is granted commendation status and full protection under Academy law. The vote was unanimous. As Emma left the chamber, she saw Krell and Marcus waiting in the hallway. Krell's entire body showed colors of celebration, bright greens and blues dancing across his skin. Marcus's feathers had transformed into vibrant patterns of respect and admiration. "You did it," Marcus said, his voice showing awe. "Everyone is talking about it. The entire Academy is talking about what you did. The entire galaxy will be talking about it soon," Krell added. "My cousin in communications says the news networks are already creating stories. They are calling you the Deathworld Warrior." Emma walked with her friends through the Academy hallways, and everything was different now. Students moved out of her way. Students who had ignored her for months now made eye contact and nodded in respect. She was no longer invisible. She was no longer ignored. But that was not what affected her most. What affected her most was the message she received from her family. Her mother sent a communication that Emma watched while sitting alone in her dormitory room. "I am proud of you," her mother said, and there were tears in her eyes. "You showed them what Earth produces. You showed them what a Deathworlder is capable of. Your father was right. You learned the lessons of survival better than anyone we know. Come home when you finish school. We need people like you." Emma recorded a message back, and as she did, she realized something important. She was no longer just a student hiding at the Academy. She was something else now. She was a representative of her world. She was proof that humans should not be underestimated. Over the next weeks, Emma's life transformed. The Hunter Collective demanded her arrest, claiming she had used excessive force. The Galactic courts laughed at their complaint. 5 trained hunters against 1 human girl. The conclusion was obvious to everyone who heard the details. More importantly, the incident sparked a conversation across the galaxy. Scientists began studying Deathworlders more carefully. Military strategists began understanding that humans could not be dismissed as weak. Trading companies began considering humans as valuable assets rather than curiosities. Emma continued her studies, but now her classes were different. Professors called on her, asked her opinions, respected her input. Her physics teacher, Professor Vane, even created a special course titled Deathworld Survival and Adaptation, based on her experiences. 3 weeks after the incident, Emma sat in the academy cafeteria, eating her protein and vegetables. The same cafeteria where Vex had threatened her. The same cafeteria where she had sat quietly, trying to be invisible. Now students from other species would come to sit at her table. They wanted to hear her stories. They wanted to understand what it was like to grow up on a world that was actively trying to kill you. Emma did not talk much about her experiences. She answered their questions truthfully, but she did not dramatize. She did not make herself out to be anything more than what she was. A person from a harsh world, trained from birth to survive. Krell sat across from her, his webbed hands holding his food carefully. Marcus was beside him, his feathers displaying the soft gold colors of contentment. "I have been thinking," Krell said. "When we finish school, maybe we could all work together. You, me, Marcus. We could become explorers. There are many dangerous worlds out there that need careful study. Worlds that only someone from a death world could safely explore." Emma considered this. She thought about Earth, about going home. But she also thought about what it would mean to help others understand the harsh worlds that existed across the galaxy. "Maybe," she said, "that could work." As she finished her meal, Emma looked around the cafeteria. She saw the way students looked at her. Not with fear anymore, but with respect. Not with dismissal, but with understanding. She had come to the academy as invisible. She had been hunted. She had fought back. She had won. And the entire galaxy had learned what a Deathworld girl could do. Emma Richardson, the quiet human from Earth, returned to her classes that afternoon. She was still simple and straightforward. She did not boast. She did not seek attention. But now everyone understood the truth about her. She was dangerous. Not because she was violent. Not because she wanted power. But because she had been shaped by a world that demanded everything from its children. A world that did not accept weakness. A world that had taught her to survive at any cost. And as Emma sat in her advanced physics class, listening to Professor Vane discuss the gravity calculations for Deathworlds, she knew that everything in her life had changed. But she also knew that she was still just the same person she had always been. She was just finally being seen for who she really was. The story of the Deathworld, Girl and the Hunters, spread across the galaxy. In bars and restaurants on 1,000 worlds, beings told the tale of how one human girl had defeated 5 trained hunters. The tale became legend. The tale became proof. Proof that humans should never be underestimated. Proof that Earth produced warriors and survivors. Proof that sometimes the most dangerous prey is the one that has already learned to hunt. And Emma Richardson, the quiet girl from the Deathworld, simply went to class and lived her life, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again.